So unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know about ChatGPT and you've used it before. But what you might not know is that some of the most amazing AI technologies that we have today, such as OpenAI's ChatGPT, Tesla's Autopilot, Amazon's Alexa, and to a large extent the companies behind these products as well, all of these organizations use this one simple programming language which you can learn today. And by learning this programming language, you have embarked on a journey to master all of machine learning. Well, most of it anyway, but I will get onto that at the end of the video. So without further ado, your time is valuable, so let's get straight in.
So as many of you may have guessed, the language is none other than Python, which by the way for the past 5 or 10 years has been one of the most, if not the most popular programming language in the world. So why is Python the most used and the best for machine learning? Well, the reason here is mainly twofold. So first, Python has an incredibly simple syntax compared to other programming languages. So this makes it very easy to learn and get started with for beginners, but more importantly, it makes it so that it's very quick to make a new machine learning model and code it up, prototype it, and then roll it out to the world. In addition, if you make a mistake, if there's a bug in your code, it's quite easy to debug compared to some other language like C++. So that's the first reason. Now, the second one, which is arguably more important, is that Python has a very active community and there's loads of different machine learning libraries already in place. So for example, there's NumPy, Pandas for data science, there is TensorFlow and PyTorch for machine learning and also scikit-learn as well, but I will get onto that later on in the video. So with all these machine learning kind of libraries already in place, it's very easy to start making stuff straight away, which is why you see companies like Tesla using PyTorch, and so there's OpenAI, and then companies like Google who made TensorFlow and also use TensorFlow in developing some of their internal data science tools as well as their machine learning models. Now you might be wondering, Python is actually an incredibly slow language. I think there's some statistics that show that C++ is 25 times faster than Python. So why in the world are we using Python to build machine learning models which actually have to be very efficient and run very quickly under time conditions, right? So the truth to this is that some of the machine learning libraries that we use, like TensorFlow and PyTorch specifically, these are actually written with C++ under the hood, and you're just writing Python for their API. So the library is written for Python, but in fact the performance isn't effective because it's really running C++ code under the hood. So now that you know that Python is the most popular language when it comes to machine learning, what can you do to actually start using it to make machine learning models and build AI? Right? So first step, obviously you have to learn Python. If you know another language already, like C++, I mean, you can technically start doing machine learning with C++. There's a TensorFlow API written for C++. But what is more recommended is that you just switch to Python because there's so many more opportunities. There's so many more data, there's so many more modules for data science and for machine learning. So there's, as I said before, Pandas, which is very good for kind of making data frames and storing data. And then there's NumPy, which is good for numerical calculations. So, and in addition, there's the two best machine learning frameworks in the community. So there's TensorFlow and PyTorch. So TensorFlow is made by Google and it's used by Google and some of the other companies. And then there's PyTorch used by Tesla and OpenAI, which is also used to develop ChatGPT, by the way. So you have to learn Python. There's a few resources for that, so I can link in the description this Python course on YouTube. It's pretty good. And if you want to get a paid course instead, I really don't see the reason why you should, but if you really want to spend money, then you can find a course on Udemy. So that's first step. The second step is to actually get started to learn a machine learning framework. And what I recommend for beginners is TensorFlow. So the reason why TensorFlow is the best for beginners is because it's relatively simple compared to PyTorch, and you don't really need to know any math, and you can get a machine learning model coded up in just a few lines of code. So that's quite simple. It has an API for deep learning. There's neural nets. You can use very few lines of code to write very complex deep learning neural networks. So that. So there are YouTube courses on TensorFlow. I will link some in the description. Especially there are some by Free Code Camp, like the one here on your screen right now. Free Code Camp, by the way, if you're looking for any sort of tutorial on coding, they're the go-to sort of YouTube channel. So you should definitely go check them out. So now that you've learned TensorFlow, in the third step, if you want to, you can learn some of the maths behind machine learning. So obviously, if you want to gain a deeper understanding of what's actually happening under the hood, you know, when you type a line of code in TensorFlow, what is it actually doing? How does gradient descent work? How does backpropagation work? All of these techniques are actually based just on maths, right? So there's linear algebra and calculus. These are the two main areas. So a very good course to learn some maths behind machine learning is one taught on Coursera by Andrew Ng, who's one of the heroes in machine learning in the community. So he's got a very good course, and I think he recently updated his course to a newer version. So when I learned it, I think it was an older version, but now there's a newer version. So I'll link that in the description. So with this, hopefully you will be able to learn how calculus is used in gradient descent, and how sort of matrices and vectors are used to represent the training data and the weights and biases. Don't worry if you don't know what I'm talking about, but you will once you've learned TensorFlow. So that's step 3. And now, after that, I think it's time to sort of get into PyTorch, which I believe, and a lot of people also think, that it's just better than TensorFlow. As in, it gives you more flexibility, and it's better for research projects as well as sort of very advanced machine learning projects. For example, Tesla's autopilot. They chose to use PyTorch because of its flexibility, and it's just very hard to build such custom networks on TensorFlow. So PyTorch would definitely be a better choice later down the line once you've got the basics of maths and TensorFlow. And I've also linked a pretty good PyTorch course down below for you to go check out. So now that you've learned TensorFlow, PyTorch, and the maths, and you've got all this skill set, what I recommend now is either you can continue and pursue your own machine learning projects, you can build some pretty cool stuff, or alternatively, you can go to Kaggle. So this is kaggle.com. It's the best data science competition website on the internet. And basically, you compete to build the best machine learning model to solve this particular problem. And then there's some pretty grand prizes as well. So some of the competitions go up to $100,000. And I think the most there's ever been is like 1.5 million. So that's just insane. So you can go on there and you can test out your skills. And there's some pretty good data scientists and machine learning engineers on there. So you can go on the ranking, you can check out some of the biggest researchers. And what they do is most of them actually use PyTorch instead of TensorFlow, because PyTorch, as I said before, offers much more versatility, and it's just better for research in general. So you can try competing in competitions on there. There's some pretty interesting stuff. For example, I think there's a competition in the past where you have to detect lung cancer based on images. So that's in image recognition, also known as computer vision. And then in the natural language processing section, there's also a competition in the past where you have to judge how good a writer is based on the text they've written, and you have to give grades, and you know, it's pretty exciting stuff. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for the support. And if you have any questions, of course, leave a comment and I will read through all of the comments and respond to them. And this is actually my first YouTube video in a while, so I would really appreciate if you subscribe, and I will make sure to post some machine learning content in the future, as well as some just coding stuff in general. But yeah, good luck on your machine learning journey, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.